Happy holidays, everybody! It is the beginning of December. Well, it's almost the beginning of December. It's the end of November. Thanksgiving has come and gone. And Christmas is coming once again because it comes every year around this time. You know, just like any faithful holiday would. That has nothing to do with what I'm doing in this video, though. I'm just doing a November wrap-up. So I'm going to talk about the new movies I watched this month. And then I'm going to talk about my books. I'm going to try and get through the movies really quickly. First movie I watched this month was A Beautiful Mind, starring Russell Crowe. That was a really good movie. It was about a mathematician with schizophrenia. That's all I knew going into it. But it was really good, and if you want to understand the mental illness of schizophrenia, you should go watch it. It was pretty good. I also watched To the Bone, which is about anorexia. It's a Netflix original, and it was pretty good for a Netflix original. Looking back, I had a few problems, but I mean, I didn't know anything about anorexia going into it. Coming out of it, I felt like I knew some, and then I read a book about anorexia the next day, and everything from that movie seemed pretty accurate compared to the book, which I know is accurate. But so I liked it. To the Bone was pretty good. Next movie I watched was Shrek, which I have actually seen this movie. I watched it quite a few times when I was younger, but I just haven't seen it in years, and I pretty much had forgotten everything that was in it. So I rewatched it, and I like it. I mean, who doesn't like Shrek? And then I watched 3 movies in theaters this month. I watched The Nutcracker and the Four Realms. I watched Ralph Breaks the Internet and Crimes of Grindelwald. I have different things to say about all of them. Actually, no, I have kind of the same thing to say about all of them, but I'm not saying anything because this is not a channel about movies. This is a channel about books. I'm going to talk about the books that I read now this month. Last drink of coffee. Not coffee, this is hot cocoa. I don't like coffee. The book I started this month off with was The Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. A very good conclusion to the Heroes of Olympus series. Obviously I can't say much because this is the end of the series. But I enjoyed it. It's actually my least favorite book out of the entire series, but it was still really good. The first half was kind of slow, but the last half definitely saved it. My favorite book was House of Hades and The Mark of Athena, Son of Neptune, The Lost Hero, and then The Blood of Olympus. It's got a 4 out of 5. You can tell how good the series is. Maybe it deserved more like a 3.8 out of 5, but we're giving it a 4. We're being generous because this is Percy Jackson. Next book I read in November is Wires and Nerve, Volume 2, Gone Rogue. I read this in one sitting because, I mean, it's a comic book. I usually try to get comic books done in one sitting. And this comic book was no different, or graphic novel, whatever you want to call it. I really enjoyed it. There was one part with Eco that something that happened in Eco, and then they fixed it. If you read it, you know what I'm talking about. That I was like, why? Why did you? That just seems kind of weird. It's not weird though. It makes sense. It's just, yeah. It's just a very tropey thing to have in there. Anyways, but I read Wires and Nerve, Volume 2, Gone Rogue. It was pretty good. I gave it, what did I give it? I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I liked the first one more than Volume 2, but I enjoyed having all of the characters back. Next book I read in the month of November, I read for school, Agamemnon by Aeschylus. I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. This book, well, it's a play, but it was good. I liked it as an ancient Greek play. It was definitely an ancient Greek play. I honestly didn't understand most of it until I went and read summary videos on YouTube. I didn't even understand the play. Liked it. Gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Next book I read is my favorite book from this month, and it is A Quiet Kind of Thunder by Sarah Bernard. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is about a girl named Steffi who is a selective mute and has general and social anxiety. And she falls in love with a deaf boy. And their romance is so cute, especially in the beginning. That was my favorite part, the beginning of their romance. And like them not quite sure if the other likes the other. That was my favorite. It was so adorable. And then Steffi just was really good and relatable to me. I don't have social anxiety, but like a year or so ago, I wouldn't say I had the mental illness of social anxiety. I don't know if it was quite that far, but it was everything in here was very relatable to me from when I was younger. Younger by only a year though. So I gave it a 4.4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite books from this year overall, really. Next book I read in November is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. And might I just say, mind-numbing? Not mind-numbing, thought-provoking. It didn't numb my mind, but it was very thought-provoking. I thought a lot about race. I wish that there was an American version of this, because this is Britain's relationship with race. That's what it says. Where is it? Well, I don't remember where it was. I thought it was on the back. Apparently not. Oh, Essential Handbook for Anyone Who Wants to Understand Race Relations in Britain Today. Obviously, I'm not in Britain. I'm in America. But it's okay. I still learned a lot. And she did reference America sometimes. But it was really good. I really want to reread it because this was all new. A lot of it was new information to me going in. So I was like, whoa, what? I haven't thought about this before. So I want to read it again, already knowing these things, so I can like focus in on a tiny little detail and really think about it. It was really good though, you guys. I gave it oh, that's not the page. Oh, there's the page. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It probably deserved more than that. I just gave it a 3 out of 5 stars just because there was so much information. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just want to go back and appreciate the little tiny bits of information more and think about it more. It's not like, oh my gosh. It almost fell into the cup of hot cocoa. That was scary. It was very thought-provoking, and I should have given it more stars, but I just want to read it again just so I don't know how to explain it. I just need to read it again in order to give it the true amount of stars I know it deserves. So, yeah. Next book I read this month is Do Hard Things by Alex and Brett Harris. Oh, there's a foreword in here by Chuck Norris. Alex and Brett Harris are twins from Portland, Oregon. So I live near them, if they still live there. This book was released in 2005, written by two 19-year-old brothers about how they want a teenage rebellion against low expectations right there. And just that they feel like parents and adults and older people don't expect anything of teenagers. And they're like, I feel like we could do more. So they put together this whole conference and everything about this. And they had a website about this before. And I don't know exactly. I've never looked up those ones. But I read the book for school. It was pretty good. If you're interested in doing hard things, even if you're not a teenager, I recommend reading this. I'm a person who loves setting goals, and I love being productive, and I love stretching myself to the limit. So this book, I liked it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. A friend loaned this to me, and she was like, oh, you should read it, and it sounded kind of interesting, so I did, even though I'm not reading much fantasy anymore. I skimmed through this book, honestly. I liked it. I just knew that I wouldn't love it because of the fantasy element, which I am growing out of, unfortunately. So I just skimmed through it so that I could tell her I read it. It was good, though. I liked it. I gave it... What did I give it? 3 out of 5 stars. Which in my book is not bad. I know that a lot of people say that that's bad, but it's not to me. Basically, it's about this mortal girl and a mortal falling in love on this trip to take her, the mortal, on trial for painting a picture of him that made him look sad. Because, fairy people are vain and they can't be sad. Okay, so the next book on the list, though, is Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. This book was pretty good, though. I listened to it on audiobook. I didn't actually listen to it read it, which is fine. But I enjoyed it. I've been waiting to read this book for a while and was not disappointed at all. It was exciting. I really liked it. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Right. And don't you just love my copy? My copy is amazing, okay? It's the, what is it again? The Race Point edition. And I've got the Odyssey in this also, in this copy. It's like got all flowery, whatever this stuff is called in the back. And then it's got this thing. And, oh yeah. And it's, oh, yeah, I could save my spot with this thing. Of course, then it might crinkle the paper. But it's still really cool, and I really, really like it. It's cool looking. I should get some more that match this. Next book I read is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stefan Chbosky. First of all, I've got to say that I read the hardback, obviously, because the paperback was like $27. It seems like everybody reads the paperback, and the paperback I think looks a lot better. For this design, it looks a lot better in a paperback. But it was like $6 in the hardback and $27 in the paperback. What the heck? Why is it so expensive? I don't know. I have some things to say. I didn't finish this book. I got 39 pages into it. I don't know what to say about it. I was just reading it and convicted that I should not be reading it. I know that there are people who read it, and that's completely fine. I'm not judging you. I just was personally convicted that I'm not going to read this for specific reasons that I'm not going to tell you, because I'm just not going to. But it was on to a good start. It probably is interesting. I just only got 39 pages into it. So I'm pretty sure everyone likes The Perks of Being a Wallflower, but I just didn't finish it, okay? Goodbye. Next book I read is What I Lost by Alexandra Ballard. This is about a girl with anorexia going into recovery at Wallingfield over on the East Coast, on the other side of the United States from where I am. Not that that matters. It's kind of almost a different world over there, sort of. It's a little bit of a different culture, and I find it weird reading books from the East Coast because it is a little bit different and you can tell. Anyways, though, I just got a knot in my hair. This book was really good. It's probably my second favorite book that I read this month. There wasn't anything particularly exciting that happened in it. It's just a book about if you want to learn what it's like to have anorexia, this is a book to get. It just is a book that follows from when she gets checked in at Wallingfield for recovery and when she leaves and the first couple days back. It was really good. Because it's so like day to day, just normalized stuff, it got a little boring. But that doesn't really matter because it wasn't supposed to be anything exciting or dramatic. I've been thinking a lot about this book since I read it. And it doesn't sugarcoat anorexia at all. I read this a couple days before Thanksgiving, and as I was reading it, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm thankful that I don't have anorexia. Or any eating disorder for that matter. Not that I ever wanted anorexia, just I know some people with eating disorders. Oh, and I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. Next book that I read in the month of November is Under Rose-Tinted Skies by Louise Gournal. These next 2 books that I have here they focused a lot on the romance. I wanted it to focus more on the mental illness, which is why I read it. It did focus on the mental illness, and obviously the mental illness had an impact on the romance with like drama and stuff, which is one of the reasons why, you know what, I'm just gonna show them both to you, okay? Definitions of Indefinable Things and Under Rose-Tinted Skies. This is about a girl with depression falling in love with another guy who has depression. This is about a girl with agoraphobia, anxiety, and OCD falling in love with the boy next door. Both of them are like, oh no, we can't get together because I and or you have a mental disorder and we're just toxic and it's not gonna work and you don't want me, I'm horrible. I hated it. I didn't like that part of it. I was hesitant to pick either of these 2 books up because I could just tell that they were going to be very dramatic in the way that they handled the romance. It's not even the romance that I minded. It was just the whole, you could do better than me. I hate it. It's annoying because it happens in like every single book. But aside from that, Under Rose-Tinted Skies was really good. As just a romance, 2 people falling in love with no drama, it was good. And as a mental illness book, it was good. It answered a lot of my questions about anxiety, OCD, and agoraphobia. Definitions of Indefinable Things is about depression. I was left with a lot of questions on exactly how depression worked. I'm reading these books so that I can understand these mental illnesses. And I understand that they're fiction, so they may not be 100% accurate, and they may not be the best options to do that. But I just really want to know what it's like to live with a mental illness. Live with these mental illnesses so that I can, like, if I ever, like, I know some people with some, not professionally diagnosed mental illnesses, but reactions to more severe reactions to some emotions than some people. I would like to understand these sicknesses a bit better. Also, I'm just interested in that kind of stuff. I love psychology. Definitions of Indefinable Things, I just felt like it was lacking a little bit. Now, that being said, neither of these books were horrible. They were well written. I just, Under Rose-Tinted Skies was a little bit too dramatic, and Definitions of Indefinable Things, I was left wanting. Under Rose-Tinted Skies, I gave 4.3 out of 5 stars. No, not 4.3. Oh gosh, no. 3.3 out of 5 stars. And Definitions of Indefinable Things, I gave 3 out of 5 stars. Last book that I read this month is Paperweight by Meg Haston. It's about a girl that goes into recovery for her anorexia, but she plans to commit suicide on the anniversary of her brother's death. I didn't know anything else going into this book, And honestly, I don't know anything else now because I'm doing the same thing I did last month. I'm filming this 5 days before the end of the month. That's plenty of time to read this, so I'm going to get to it. But my guess is that I'm going to give this between a 3 and a 4 star. My guess is that I'm going to give this a 3 to 4 stars. I don't know. I guess we'll see. November is over. Almost over. 2 days when this goes up. 2 more days. And December will be starting, which means the holidays are starting. So, happy holidays, everybody. Goodbye.